there are a number of ways that you can label the plants and produce a plant schedule for any design. In this example here, the designer has put some numbers. There's a number 3 that's tagging those specimens through there, and a 2. So she will produce a table showing the code number, the botanical name, and the common name. But what you can do is associate this particular drawing with a plant list. So you can type up a list using this Excel-like format. So I produced a little list here, and it's in alphabetical order of botanical names. You can change that to reverse order of names if you like. If this was a very long list, you might well want to you might want to sort on common name or even sort on type. So you want to group individual species together. There's also a code on the right-hand side. So we'll OK that for the moment. So how this is used is, if we want to tag, say, this group here, which is coded 3, it's in fact Hakea laurina, all I need to do is go to gCADPlus and set data to a plant. So I pick the symbol and then come down here, find Hakea laurina and highlight the row and say OK. Now what we can do is have our gCADPlus tool automatically generate that table of contents, that schedule. So gCADPlus, plant schedule, draw the standard schedule. So we just go top left and bottom right, and the schedule will be drawn in whatever is the current text style. The symbol that corresponds to the species is shown there. So if we look down the list there, we can find Hakea laurina and the pincushion Hakea. There are 4 of them in the design, so there must be another one somewhere else. The advantage of this system is that you can just select that symbol and copy it, and let's put 3 or 4 more into the design over here, and we'll finish, and then we simply say gCADPlus plant schedule, update the schedule, and the number of instances of Hakea laurina will increase from 4 to 7. Let's just zoom in, there is the 7. So you can update your list. Once the list is drawn, you can almost forget about it. It'll stay in sync with the symbols that you put into your drawing. There, of course, are lots of ways that people like to label plant species. Let's first see whether, via plant schedules and lists, I'll show symbols with names. I wanted to make sure that this symbol here was in fact already tagged. We've got an option to smart label. We can pick the smart label tool, select the symbol or adjacent copies of the symbol. So there are a couple here, that one and that one. We can then hit the enter key, mark a leader which will go there, and then hit the enter key again. And how high do we want the text to be? Well, we'll just mark a suitable height. Do we want to pick up the code? Well, we'll say, yes, we do. Do we want to get the botanical name? No. Or the common name? No. But do you want the code? Yes, we do. So that's actually produced, let's unselect all, that's produced a little label, and we can move this tag, say, to that position there, which might be a little neater, and then just adjust the position of the text. If we like, we can edit to our art's content. So there's a tag going to indicate that particular plant is Melaleuca hugeli. So, and we could put another line through there. So that's just a different way that some people use to label drawings. So the call is yours. We've got another option too, where you can call the shots as you generate this schedule. In the form that I used, it puts a column there with a red dot. So one could, and it automatically associates that particular little white 5 inside a red dot. And you can, some people like to have a marker like that, and they will stamp that onto the plant symbol, rather like this user has put a code. If you need to, you can select the block and edit that block. You could say, well, I'd like my botanical name a little bigger in height. I'll make it 250. So now that's a bit too, let's make it 175. And it's a little larger than the height under there, which is 151. Then you could use the, oops, no, I don't want to close it. Then you could use the Modify Match Properties tool and just work your way down through here and pump up the height of the generic and species name, close the block editor, and we're out. Now, in order to show that plant list, you can move it, and I would suggest you do. You can pick it up and move it away from the drawing. Now move to your drawing sheet. Here's an A3 portrait sheet. Here's an A3 landscape sheet, and one at 1 to 200 and one at 1 to 200. What I then do is create a new floating viewport. So I'll say add a viewport, and I'll set it over here and just overlap it a little, and you'll see the reason for that in a moment. Now what I can do is double click in there, and then that pops up that view box, and we can zoom in a little more. So what I'm doing now is just adjusting what we see inside the floating viewport. I'll center it, then I'll say right click and display on the layout, and right click again and right click here, deactivate that viewport. I'd probably be inclined to put this frame, this floating viewport frame, and this one here, and put them on their own layer. Maybe I might even make a new layer. I'll put it on a construction layer for the moment, and that layer's been turned off. So when I do that, those frames disappear. So you can always pick them up again by just selecting, like so. That should pick up that frame. Because we've put it on a layer, haven't we, that has been turned off. We missed them. I was going to move that one over there. So let's just temporarily turn that construction layer back on. We should see the frames, and we now do. What I'd be inclined to do is just jump into this one and move. I would reduce that size just a little. In doing so, I'm changing my scale, but we can attend to that a little later, and then display it on the layout, deactivate, pick that frame, and I can just move it across at that point there. Once I'm happy, that should be at 1 to 200, so I can click in here and mark my scale 200, and it changes and shrinks a little. And I'd make that fixed scale, because that then effectively locks that frame. So now if we go back to where we were, we can move the contents of the frame edge onto a layer that we turn off. They're already on that, aren't they? The construction layer. And we can turn that construction layer off. And unselect all. And the two frames sit there nicely. We might want to draw a rectangle now as a border around these two, like so. You might want to select the border and give it a corner radius of say 20 mil, and hit enter. Now your frame edge has a bevel to it, and then pop your logo and other details about the site location down here. So I hope that helps in understanding a little of how you can label plants and get a schedule working for you.